My second question, and I'm going to ask Annette to go first because you went last, yeah? To everybody is, in a world where we are living through genocide, climate collapse, and endless forms of injustice and misinformation and disinformation, finding joy can feel impossible or even inappropriate. How do you navigate honoring grief while still protecting spaces of pleasure and creativity? How do we center pleasure and imagination in our movements without bypassing the reality of ongoing violence and grief? So this is a bit of a big one, and you can chop it up and respond to what responds to you. Annette.
Yeah, so this question, full disclosure, guys, we were sent the questions beforehand. So this question, when I saw it, like I sat with, like I remember, because I remember putting a question mark on it. I was just like, yo. One is I don't know, right? And I was also hoping I'd get answers here, right? But like one thing that has worked for me is I remember I'm a big consumer of like stand-up comedy. So anyway, there's this guy, he's called Hassan Minhaj. Don't look him up. There's a whole scandal, guys. Like, just know that at some point he was an okay person. And he was doing his show and he said, I know right now it seems like a lot is going on. And it feels like you have very many tabs open in your head. And he said, it's okay to close some tabs. And that for me, that's what has worked. It's like I take in the grief, I acknowledge it, right? I acknowledge that terrible things are happening. And to quote very many internet sources, is there something I can do about it? Yes. What can I do about it? You know what I'm saying? And if there's nothing I can do about it, like, then I have to release it, right? One of the things I always tell people I work with is do what you can, leave what you can't, right? Because sometimes we hold on to things so tightly and we hold on to hurt and honestly things we can't do much about, right? And we hold on to them and they drag us down. And so I'm a very big proponent of, if I can't do anything about it, I will release it. I will acknowledge it, right? And here comes my very controversial take on this. I will pray about it as well, but then I will release it also. Yeah. Also, it's raining now. Sorry if you can hear the rain.
No, we can't hear the rain, Annette. It's also raining where I am. Thank you for that, Annette. Yambura, I saw you taking some diligent notes.
Um, well, but jokes aside, I think for me, a huge part has been being intentional in seeking joy, but also doing what Annette just talked about, acknowledging that, yes, things are haywire, the shenanigans are afoot, but also yeah, being intentional about seeking joy. And another thing, I'm looking to the side because I have notes on index cards. If anyone is wondering what's going on, but the other thing for me has been forming guardrails around how much exposure I'm willing to put up with. So being able to say, I'm on Twitter, and yes, I still call it Twitter. I'm on Twitter for a maximum X minutes a day or something like that, because it's like a fire hose of information and bleakness coming at you sometimes. So being able to say, okay, or even if it means I'm going to take a Pomodoro break from this platform and come back later. And not to sound too much like a lover of fact checking, fact checking has also proven to be like a thing that keeps me sane. Being able to be like, is this even true? And I loved the earlier video where Annette was talking about fact checking and all the different ways we can go about it, because sometimes, like, oh, this story is really grinding my gears. And then you go to the second or third source and you're like, wait a minute, that story was made up. And, it took a little joy from you during that time when you thought it was true. So being able to be like, is this factual and how can I get to the facts as soon as possible?
Thank you so much, Nyambura. From you, I'm taking away what you said, being intentional in seeking joy. And I think that's something personally I need to do more of. Sandra, and then Tanvir.
Thank you. So I'm not really going to differ much from Annette and Nyambura. The thing is, like, we don't cultivate or we don't protect our pleasure by pretending that these threats aren't real. The violence is real, like Nyambura said. The crackdowns are real. The surveillance is real. The genocides are real. The smear campaigns. And they're all, the whole point is to make us afraid to dream, to desire, to connect with one another, because we are so busy putting out fires. We are so busy thinking about how is this going to affect my loved ones, myself, my work, my country, so ple choosing pleasure is a form of resistance. Choosing to say, yes, I'm under threat, but I still want to dance. Yes, this is really bad, but I still want to connect with people. Like, yes, the world is, getting consumed, the world is burning up, but I'm not going to stop feeling. I'm not going to stop finding moments of light, because when we lose that part of us that desires pleasure, that desires laughter, that desires love, we lose part of what we are fighting for, because this, we are fighting to be in a world where everyone can choose pleasure for themselves without necessarily being weighed down by all these systems of oppression and everything that we are fighting against. So I make room for both. I make room for the grief. I make room for the joy. I make room for the fast-paced world. I make room for the slow days. You know, like there's going to be a day where I'm steeped into making digital safety plans, and I'll go back home and curate a very nice playlist for myself. Like, I choose to make room for both, because that's also the reality of life. Life is not black and white. There's lots of gray areas, and my life is not the same as Sheena's life. Our lives are different, right? How we journey through this life is different. So I make room for both, but at the back of my mind, choosing pleasure, actively choosing pleasure and light and laughter and fun in a world that tells me don't, that tells me your body shouldn't feel pleasure, your body shouldn't be fun, you shouldn't be laughing, you know? Um, it's resistance, but it's also how we protect. It's what we are fighting for. It's how it nourishes our dreams. It nourishes our vim to continue doing this work. It strengthens our bonds, right? In that tomorrow, yes, we might be doing all this work of putting out fires and what, but tomorrow when I meet you, Annette, we're going to laugh, we're going to hug, we're going to, like, have a drink or two, because that's what we are fighting. It's not just about what we are working towards, it's how we work towards the change that we want to see. So yes, I make room for both. I make room for the grief, the pleasure, the fun, the tears, the laughter, everything, because that's just how life is. So we mourn our losses, but also dare to keep dreaming, because it is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sandra. Yes, and for reminding us that also sometimes having the blinkers on doesn't always help us cope with the reality of what we're dealing with. Finally, Tanvir.
Thank you. And I was mesmerized by my other fellow panelists, what they're saying. And It's a really nice question, also very tricky, and I don't know how to respond to it, but I will try to make an attempt. Okay, so the right now is a very chaotic situation going around, and whenever, like, even listening to a simple song, I sometimes feel that way. Like, am I kind of like deceiving myself and like trying to like to find joy in that, like listening to a song and like if I go to the social media, I will see like, so many chaotic posts and stuff as well. I do consider myself as a chronicle online person who's very addicted to social media, and I kind of grew up with that. So this year, kind of, it just hit a rock. It's just, there are multiple times I kind of wiped out my social media accounts because of this chaos, because it's just too much happening around us, right? So I think I found joy like deactivating social media and not being online. Like, just to be yourself. Like I would say, like also like keeping connection with your close one. And I don't know, it would be a controversial take or not. I kind of like found a lot of peace when I cut down a lot of folks around me, which are not necessary, and they're like kind of like projecting a lot of negativity. And also, it's not negativity, it's like it's very not productive negativity. It's more like it's just like very noise, okay? And I think these noises really, really got into me. And also, there have no kind of like, utilization in my life as well. So I think at the end of the day, this sort of oceans of negativity, kind of like, I would say, kind of like I allowing them to like to be myself. And I think I cutting them off or like putting them away, that is sort of my pleasure, of my joy. I would say that, like, making sure that like you are creating a world where I'm not saying that like I'm living an Alice in Wonderland world, that like I just want to curate a world that like everything is around positive, and I want to see positive and I want to respond to the positive. I think also I really do think like creating a world where you can't have criticism, what's happening in the world, but you don't have unnecessary negativity, which kind of like, creates a a sort of energy that like sucks your joy and pleasure. And I really had tough time to navigate or indicate those negativity or indicate those like factors which really hampering my joy and pleasure as well. So as X, it's a hellhole. Okay, so Facebook is a hellhole. Instagram is a hellhole. LinkedIn is kind of trying to like to become a hellhole at some point, but it's just in a making. But I think tailoring a little bit it works. Sometimes when I go to Facebook, I just don't go to the newsfeed, because if I go to the newsfeed, I will see so many, disinformation and misinformation so much, and it makes me so angry. And I'm an angry feminist. I'm not apologetic about it, because I will go there and I will start a fight there, okay? Because I want to like to dismantle the uh, misinformation or disinformation. But I also kind of like feeling that like being grounded sometimes it works, because I think a lot of like flags don't deserve your angry situation. Okay, I think a lot of folks don't deserve your angry, I would say, response. Okay, because you're just putting so much into yourself as well. So I would say like for me, I do imagine myself in a world that like there should be a lot of like balance between negativity, positivity, and like disinformation, misinformation. Everything is there, but I think there are a lot of unnecessary baggages people do carry on. I think cut them off and you will feel great. Okay, so I think that is the joy right now I'm kind of like cultivating right now. I think I answered that question.
You did. You absolutely did. Thank you so much, Tanvir. And from you, I'm taking away um, the truth that a lot of people don't deserve your anger, especially in a reality where people are capitalizing on your anger, and you know, don't let them win.
Can I add
So
a little bit one line is
yeah.
that sometimes I
Mm.
do feel like they don't deserve, my explanation. Okay. Like it's more likely like
Mhm.
what I do explain to you, because you at the end of the day, you're going to like to spread the same misinformation, disinformation, or you will stay the same. Why I would like cause hamper my mental health? Okay, so you stay like you were, I'm going to bypass you. It's more likely that.
Yeah, you pick your fights, and we can, I think, sometimes tell which conversations can shift and which conversations can't shift. And there's no point investing your time, effort, energy in trying to change somebody's mind that they're not trying to hear your side of the story. So absolutely. And I think that's also an important aspect of self-care and well-being, is knowing when it's a waste of time